All right, hey guys, it's that time again. Safety topic guide for March, but I'm going to go off script here a little bit because we have had a couple of things come up as of late that are pretty concerning to us. First one is cargo damage, and we had two extremely expensive claims that happened recently that were very unavoidable. Okay, the first guy, he had a load shift and he was 2 or 3 hours out from the consignee, had the load shift, elected not to retarp the load after the load was fixed, and guess what happened in that 2 or 3 hours? He got rained on over $20,000 in damage to the product. So that's like 5 years worth of loads or something. I mean, it's just it's astronomical how many loads we have to take to make up the damage to this cargo for the decision that this driver made. The second, a gentleman was 2 or 3 hours down from the consignee. He was on his 10-hour break. He decided that he was going to go ahead and untarp there to save some time. Well, guess what happened in that 2 or 3 hours on the way to the consignee? It rained, and he damaged a load, another load over $20,000. So we're up to about $40,000. These happened almost back to back last month. Tarp your load when it's a tarp load, guys, and leave the tarp on there until you get there, and make sure the load is tarped correctly, please. The products we haul are so expensive. We pay you to tarp and untarp. Do the right thing. Tarp it. Don't guess and say, oh, it's not going to rain. I'm not going to tarp this. Nobody will ever know. We'll know, because if it's not damaged, somebody's going to call and say, hey, this guy's not tarping this load. I know it's a tarp load. I get those calls quite a bit. So do the right thing, guys. We hired you for a reason. You're professionals. You went through a lot to get to work here. So make good decisions when it comes to your tarping and untarping. Second, we had, this happened last night. We had a gentleman that there were some detours on the road. The detours and misreading directions, whatever it might be. Either way, he ended up on what looks like a mountain bike path on the side of a mountain. And luckily he didn't lay the trailer and truck over like that has happened recently. He almost did. And I said this last month or the month before, don't go down a road or into a field or up a mountain path. If it doesn't look safe, don't do it. Call safety. And if you can't get anybody from safety, just stop until you do. Don't make the mistake that 8 or 9 guys made last year by going places that a truck shouldn't belong. Now, that one happened last night. Yesterday afternoon, I got a phone call from 2 drivers that were delivering at the same place. They said, hey Scott, these people want us to drive out into this field to get unloaded. And I said, well, before you do that, you need to go walk it. How far is it? Can you walk out there? Make sure it's not soft, no soft shoulders. Make sure you're not going to get stuck. Costs more to pull you out than it is to deliver the load there. So that guy did the right thing. They went and walked it, perfectly safe. They went and did their thing. And I've said that before. Just call us. Let us help you. No load is that important to get there. If you think it's unsafe, it probably is. Get our buy-in. We'll help you out. Next, we're going to talk about compliance, e-logs. There's some questions that come up pretty regularly, like what should I do when my Qualcomm stops working? I would suggest that you call the Qualcomm 800 number. You all have been provided that. It's in your driver resource guide, 800-541-7490. Or first, then call safety. We can help you reset logs. Sometimes MOS units, the brains go bad in these things. But you have the numbers and the resources to call. And outside repair is another one that you can call, and they will actually help you if you need to get to a Qualcomm dealership or whatever. If you run paper logs, they're very important. If you have to run paper logs, make sure that you turn in the white copies. Make sure you transfer them into us, because we don't want to have missing logs for you, and we'll know if they're not in, and then we have to make phone calls. But we have to keep your logs on file per DOT regulations, so make sure you're transferring those white copies in when you're done. Another frequently asked question: do I have to log time for load check, tire check? Yes, you do. When you do that, you're on duty. You're working, so make sure you're adding time for that, and it's only a couple minutes, so don't worry about that. How do I edit my logs? Another question. Go to the Approve tab or Certify tab, whichever one unit you have. It'll either say Approve or Certify, and when you hit that, it'll bring up everything you've done that has not been approved yet. Find the time slot that you want to be in, that you want to edit, highlight it, it will turn yellow, the edit button will light up, and then put what you need to put in there. So Approve or Certify, find what you want to edit, and hit it. It will turn yellow. If you need help, call safety. That's what we're here for. Do I have to log time for a pre-trip? Yes, you're on duty. Now, pre-trips and post-trips, you don't have to give me 15 minutes. You don't have to give a certain amount of time, but to do the job and do the pre-trip, post-trip correctly, it's going to be a lot more than 2 minutes, So make sure you're logging that time. When is off-duty driving allowed? Off-duty driving when you're bobtailing on a personal errand, personal business. You're driving around a parking lot. It's okay to use that. We don't want your clocks running when you're doing non-business work. Always call safety if you have questions about when and when you cannot use off-duty driving. I know sometimes you get stuck at a ship or a consignee, run out of hours. Just call us. We can help you with that. And what do I do if the navigation function quits working? Call the 800 number I gave you to Qualcomm, and they'll help you out on that. It's springtime, but I think it was -2 degrees here yesterday. So again, it's cold. Take care of yourselves. Dress properly. Do not get in a hurry. And like I said last month, guys, please do not walk on your freight. Crawl on your freight. It's very important that you take your time and be safe. Thank you. See you next month.